Hello, welcome. My name is Stella Dora, and today I'm going to be taking you through a gentle flow that is going to help decompress your body and hopefully ground some of the energy that you're wrapping on the mat with today. If you are new to the practice of yoga, this practice should be suitable for all body types and levels of abilities. But if there's anything that you find isn't feeling good in your body, isn't settling well with you, just encourage you to listen to that. Tune in to anything that's not feeling quite right for you today, and just move into something that feels comfortable, that feels safe. At no point in this practice should there be anything that you should have to persevere or push through in order to gain any benefits. This is really a practice that is about expansion, decompression, and feeling good in your body. And with that said, I invite you to go ahead and lie down on your yoga mat. If lying down is not comfortable for you, you can go ahead and stay seated for the beginning of practice here. Or there are a few ways that we can make lying down a little bit more comfortable. I'm going to show you some of those techniques right now. And the first is if you find a little bit of tension in your low back as you lay down on the mat. I'll just demonstrate that here. If you're lying down, perhaps your legs are extended and you say, oh my gosh, my low back is so tight, I just can't hang out like that. First thing I'd recommend doing is taking a folded blanket and just letting that support your tailbone underneath of your spine. It's one way that we can modify our shavasana here to make it a little bit more comfortable. And another way is to bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, and that helps to relieve some of the pressure on your low back. So choosing a variation, either seated or lying down, whatever's most comfortable for you today, we're going to take these first few minutes just to land and ground into our bodies and into our breath. Take all the time you need to get comfortable, wiggle around until everything feels long and loose, because this practice is meant to be luxurious. Grounding into your body, beginning to feel the support of the floor underneath of you, and beginning to land into your breath. As we turn our attention inward into our bodies, I invite you to begin to just notice what the quality of breath is that you're arriving with on the mat today. There's no right or wrong way to breathe at this point in our practice, so I just invite you to notice where in your chest is your breath pooling. What does the air feel like moving in and out past your nose, your mouth? And are there any things that you can let go of with your breath as we land here? That might sound like a sigh or just a heavy breath. Is anything willing to come out at this point in time? Just allowing that to help you settle and land into your body. Noticing how each round of breath our body can begin to sink a little bit deeper into the floor, beginning to tune into those parts of our bodies that are maybe a little bit tense today, and inviting our breath to help those places soften. Following your inhalations and exhalations at your own pace, and beginning to invite all of the parts of your body to melt and soften. As you begin to settle into your natural rhythm of breath, what we call the Laya breath, the unrestricted breath, I invite you to begin to explore deepening your breath. Inhaling a little bit more air on your inhalation and exhaling a little more completely. There's no need to struggle against the breath here. We'll begin to gradually expand and see what our natural maximum capacity for breath is in this moment. Inviting the air deep into your abdomen, to a soft belly, and exhaling everything out. Filling your lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying them out from the top down. Inhaling and exhaling at your own pace. Inhaling belly, chest, all the way up to the collar in the back of your throat, and exhaling collar, chest, abdomen. Flowing with your rhythm of breath, inhaling from the bottom to the top, and exhaling from the top down. Inhaling until there's no room left for breath whatsoever. And exhaling completely. Enjoying these rounds of complete deep breaths. This pattern of breath where we fill our lungs from the bottom to the top, like a pitcher of water all the way, and then emptying it out like that pitcher of water from the top down. Visualization sometimes helps me just to follow that breath as it rises and falls. We call this pattern of breath the complete yoga breath, Durga Pranayama. Continuing these full, complete deep breaths, I invite you to begin to notice where your attention goes at the end of your exhalation before you begin to inhale. Just noticing, where does your attention go? And then noticing at the top of your breath, once again, that little gap where expansion turns to contraction. Just noticing where your attention goes. Inhaling, minding the gap. Exhaling, minding the gap. Continuing this mindful breath for 1 or 2 more rounds of complete breath, or as long as you need until you're feeling satisfied. And then when you're done those rounds of breath, let's release control of our breath once more. And I invite you to just witness as the breath returns to its natural rhythm. It returns to its natural intelligence that expands and contracts all by itself. We don't have to do any of the work, we just have to get out of the way. And it knows exactly what to do. And in this place of stillness, I invite you to set an intention for your practice if you'd like to do so today. A word or a phrase or some energy that you'd like to draw into your life and dedicate the merits of this practice to. And if there's nothing coming to mind, then it's always a wonderful thing to offer up the merits of our practice to those that are healing in the world. Send all of this good work that we'll be doing today out into the universe to help heal everybody who's in need of a little extra love today. With that intention in your mind's eye, if you aren't on your back at this moment, I invite you to find your way down onto your back in that constructed rest position that we like to come back to in my classes. Knees bent, feet on the floor, the arms spread out at about a 45-degree angle from your body. And the gaze is up overhead towards the ceiling. Noticing as the femur bones begin to sink down into your hip sockets, growing a little bit heavier here. And when you're ready to exhale next, let's just allow the head to roll to the right. And then inhaling through center, we'll let it drop down over to the left. Inhaling through center once again, we'll begin to flow from side to side with your rhythm of breath, releasing the head down with the breath. And you can notice if the first couple of times from side to side here, you're really actively moving your chin from side to side, rolling that head along the ground. And I invite you to begin to explore what it might feel like, not to actively move your head, but just passively allow it to release from side to side. And it might not be a very big movement. It might just drop a couple of inches or centimeters from side to side. But what we're beginning to teach our neck muscles to do in this moment is to turn off. We're inviting them to get out of the way and say, we don't actually need you to do the work right now. We're on the ground. We're nice and close to the ground. So let's just see what it feels like to allow the weight of the head to roll onto itself from side to side. Connecting movement with breath here as we move from side to side, inhaling through center and exhaling to release over to the other side. Let's do one more round, moving with your rhythm of breath. And then the next time that your nose draws through center, let's pause there for a moment. Let's walk the arms out a little further from the body. And when you're ready to exhale again next, I invite you to allow the head and the neck to fall down in opposition. So if the head's falling down to the right, the knees are falling over to the left. Inhaling through center and exhaling over to the other side. I'm going to lay down and demonstrate this if it's not making much sense for you. Releasing over to the side in opposition. Inhaling through center and exhaling over to the other side. Once again, we're flowing with your rhythm of breath here. Letting it be as slow as you'd like. And maybe you'd like to hang out on one side for a couple of breaths, or the other side. Just noticing what's feeling good as we begin to decompress our spine through this passive twist. Inhaling through center and releasing down to the side. And you can take your awareness down into your hips and knees and notice if there's any active holding going on as we release from side to side. Maybe there's an unconscious tendency to keep your knees glued together or your ankles glued together. And sometimes we do those active twists intentionally like that. But in this moment, I'm inviting you to just see what you can let go of. We're nice and close to the ground, so let's just see what we can release into the mat as we flow from side to side. Let's do one more round to each side. Exhaling to release, inhaling through center. And when you're done that round, let's inhale everything back up through center and find ourselves settled into that neutral position once again. The feet are both grounded into the mat, and you can make any adjustments you'd like here. Lengthen through the back of the neck, wiggle around until everything feels nice and long and loose on the mat here. And when you're ready, let's inhale the arms up to the ceiling, reaching through both fingertips, all 10 fingertips or however many fingers you have. And release those shoulders back down into their sockets. Let's do that one more time. Reaching and releasing. One more time. Reaching and releasing. And let's bend our arms and grab hold of opposite elbows. Elbows are still moving up towards the ceiling here, and the shoulders are relaxed down into the mat. And keeping your focal point directly overhead at the ceiling or the sky, when you're ready to exhale next, let's allow the right elbow to travel down towards the mat. And then we can inhale through center, and then we're going to exhale down to the same side again. Right elbow traveling down towards the mat, still holding opposite elbows and staring directly overhead. Once again, connecting movement with breath here, exhaling to release over to the right. Inhaling through center, and as we exhale over to the side, begin to notice how the left shoulder blade is scooping out away from the center of your spine. It's winging out. Inhaling up to center, and exhaling as the shoulder blade wings out. Next time we inhale through center, let's switch it up and exhale down to the other side. And if you'd like to change the grip you've got on your arms here, go right ahead, just to keep things a little interesting. Still staring directly overhead, releasing the left elbow down to the mat. Inhaling through center and exhaling down to the side. Left elbow moving down to the mat, and the right shoulder blade is winging out to the side. Inhaling up and exhaling down. One more time, inhaling up and exhaling over to the left. And the next time that we inhale through center, we're going to begin to flow from side to side, still holding opposite elbows. But now let's go ahead and let the head get involved a little bit here by watching the elbow that's moving down towards the mat. So So as the elbows drop over to the right, let's just follow the right elbow with our eyes. The head can naturally roll over to the right as we do so. And then inhaling through center, we'll exhale over to the left, watching that elbow as it moves down towards the mat. Inhaling through center and over to the other side. Moving with your rhythm of breath. Inhaling and exhaling from side to side. One more round here, from side to side, moving with your rhythm of breath, releasing from side to side. And when you're done that round, let's lay the arms down by our side and just notice the back body in contact with the mat. Noticing the support of the floor underneath of us. And inviting the back body to soften. When you're ready, let's curl up onto one side. Stacking both arms directly out in front of us and keeping the knees directly out from the hips. The ankles down from the knees. We're going to peel open into a passive twist here. Opening up the arms into a T position. And if you find that extended hand is causing any grief in your shoulder, if it's pinching or just way too sore to be extended, let's bend that arm at the elbow, and just lessen the lever arm on that shoulder joint. And your gaze can be over towards the extended hand or towards the original side, whatever feels most nourishing for your body today. Let's send our breath deep into our abdomen for a moment, inviting our breath to soften our belly, allowing that softness to trickle up the spine, into the shoulders, softening everything into the mat. And then let's travel our extended arm across our chest to meet on the original side. And then we're going to gently find our way onto the other side body. Rolling onto the back and over to the other side, and then opening up into that T position once more. Taking the time you need to stack everything up nicely before we peel open into this T position. And then sending our breath into the hips, into the knees and ankles. Sending our breath into a soft belly. And beginning to melt into the mat on this other side. Once again, tuning into your shoulders, noticing if this is at all uncomfortable in your shoulder joint. Taking good care of your body today by lessening the stress on that shoulder joint. You can bend at the elbow, take the hand to the top of the head, whatever it takes to just soften into this other side of the body. Breathing the body at your own pace. Let's find our way out the way we came in, hand traveling across the chest, and then rolling onto our back body once more. Pausing in the center. And this time we're going to take our attention down into our sacrum, into our pelvis. The sacrum being the lowermost point in our spine, where our spine connects into our hip girdle here. And with that awareness, when you're ready to inhale next, I invite you to inhale to lift that sacrum off the ground just an inch or so. Maybe not even an inch, let's just say a centimeter. We'll go Canadian on us today. Just inhaling a wee bit and then exhaling to release into the mat. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling to lift the sacrum just an inch or less, half an inch. And releasing down into the mat. Continuing to inhale and exhale in order to lift and lower that sacrum. We can begin to tune into that sensation of activating and releasing. You might notice a slight tilt in your pelvis as we lift and release here. And we can begin to accentuate that motion by visualizing our hips like a bowl of water. And as we inhale, we tilt that bowl towards our chin. And as we exhale, we tilt the bowl down towards our toes. Imagining yourself pouring the water out of that bowl towards the chest and the abdomen, and then pouring it forward down towards the feet and the toes. Just a gentle rocking motion back and forth here. Flowing with your breath, inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower. Let's find our way back to a neutral position here. And then when you're ready to inhale next, we're going to begin to lift the spine off the floor one vertebrae at a time. As we lift the spine one vertebrae at a time, you might notice just a little bit of weight transferring through the spine. So as we lift the sacrum, the weight begins to move into the next vertebrae, and as we lift that next vertebrae, it moves into the next vertebrae. And we slowly begin to lift the spine off the mat, moving one vertebrae at a time. Just noticing how the weight shifts up our spine as we go. Then when we get to about the mid-back around our shoulders, let's just pause for a moment, expanding through the front body here, through the fronts of the legs, and then releasing down one vertebrae at a time. And when the tailbone, sacrum finally hits the mat, let's release everything, extending both legs long, if that's accessible to you. And just pausing for a moment, noticing any sensations in your spine, any sensations in your hips. And then taking our awareness down into the right foot, let's begin to draw the right heel in towards our buttocks along the floor, till eventually we find the sole of the right foot landed on the mat, Then we'll take our awareness down into the left foot and drag that left heel in towards the buttocks, rooting both feet into the mat once again. We're going to lift and lower a few more times here, beginning to flow up and down with your breath. Inhaling to peel the spine up off the ground. And exhaling to lower one vertebrae at a time. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling to lower. And this doesn't have to be a very high lift here, but if you're fairly familiar with moving through a bridge posture, go ahead and just expand through the front body, extend through the spine, as much as is comfortable for you today. Rooting our weight evenly into both of our feet and both of our shoulder blades as we rise up. And softening down one vertebrae at a time as we exhale. One more time, lifting and lowering. Gradually mobilizing our spine more and more. Listening to the body, only flowing as far as is comfortable for you today. Next time that your sacrum hits the mat, let's take one knee and the other into the chest. Give ourselves a gentle compression, releasing any tension in the lower back. Nice gentle hug. And you might want to experiment with keeping the knees wide or together here. Everybody has a different pelvis. Everyone has a different set of hips. So just experiment with what feels good into your lower back here. Maybe it feels nice to draw some small circles with the knees in either direction. Or maybe drawing those circles with the knees in opposite directions from each other. Whatever exploration you're doing there, let's take a moment to reverse the flow. So if you're circling in one direction, circle around in the other direction for a few rounds. And then we're going to roll onto one side, supporting our head underneath the arm. And taking a moment just to begin to expand our breath into the back body once again. And then moving gently and with as little effort as possible, let's use the support of our upper arm to find our way to our hands and knees. Just moving gently, finding your way onto your hands and knees. And if your knees are sensitive, you may want to throw a pillow down underneath your knees or fold your mat over. Taking good care of your body today. Stacking our palms directly underneath our shoulders and stacking the knees directly underneath our hips. When you're ready to inhale next, let's extend through the front body. Finding length between the sternum and our pelvis. And then when you're ready to exhale, let's tuck the navel all the way up towards the ceiling, stretching out through the shoulder blades here, pressing into the mat. And then inhaling, let's find length once again through the front body. And exhaling, tucking that tummy up towards the ceiling. Beginning to flow with your rhythm of breath, through this set of postures we call cat and cow. Cow being the extended inhalation, and cat the tucked exhalation. Just begin to notice here if there's any crunching in the back of your neck as you inhale forward. And let's just invite that neck to remain long. It's a very normal and natural tendency when we move into a back extension to crunch into the back of the neck. Sometimes it feels good to stretch out through that neck, but what we want to do today is really keep a nice long back of our neck here. We're not crunching into anything. We are decompressing our spine with this flow. Finding room to expand through the back body as we exhale, and expand through the front body as we inhale. And the next time you're ready to exhale, let's widen the knees, keeping the toes together in the back, and sit down towards our heels. You can rest your forehead onto the mat here and extend through both arms, keeping the elbows lifted. And I'm not going to demonstrate this because it's hard to talk while I'm facing the floor. So I will just talk you through this piece here. With the arms extended out in front, I invite you to begin to walk your fingertips over to one side. I'll do this with my head lifted, but I'll invite you to keep your forehead down to the mat here, walking the hands over to one side and stacking the inside arm on top of the outside arm. So whichever side of the body is getting a nice long stretch here, let's stack that hand on top of the bottom arm and just breathe into the side body stretch that we have going on here. Expanding the breath through the sides of your rib cage. And when you're ready, let's slowly walk that stretch over to the other side. Walking the hands over until you meet your resistance. And just sit with that stretch on the other side. Big breaths through the side body, softening into this side body stretch. And when you're ready, let's walk those hands back into the center. And then slowly walk those hands back in towards our hips until we find ourselves in a vertical position. Now, if it is accessible to you to sit on your knees today, then you can go ahead and sit back with the toes extended, or if you'd like for a little extra stretch into the beds of your feet here, you can tuck those toes underneath and sit down onto your heels. Now this might be a very intense stretch for you if you've got tight feet and tight toes. So one thing that we can do to support ourselves in this position, to modify it, is to put a blanket or a pillow underneath of our knees just to give ourselves a little bit of a lift here. And if you find that having your toes tucked is not for you, you can also extend them. You can still keep that pillow underneath your knees. If neither of those positions is comfortable, there's one more trick I've got up my sleeve for you today, and that's to take a bolster or a pillow just between your knees here and sit down onto that bolster or pillow. Just lessening the strain into the knees and the soles of the feet. I'm going to take a moment just to stretch out our hands here. I'm going to start with right or left hand. I'm going to start with my right hand. Probably looks like my left to you. Just picking whichever side you feel inclined to start with. Let's extend through that palm and peel our fingertips back towards our face with the opposite hand. Breathing into that stretch, let's reverse it by pointing the fingertips down. We're going to stretch into the back side of the wrist here. Holding that for a moment. And then let's release that and turn the palm over. The palm is now facing up to the sky. And we're going to once again peel those fingertips back towards our face. Pausing for a moment, and then peeling the fingertips down towards the floor. We're stretching our forearms and our wrists out in all directions here. And let's give that arm a little shake, and take that over to the other side. Peeling the other fingertips back towards our face. And then pulling them down underneath, down towards the floor. Releasing that, turning over the palm, taking the fingertips back towards the face once more, and then peeling them down towards the floor once again, and then giving that arm a good shake, giving them both a good shake. Let's take our hands together, cross those fingers, and just give our wrists a nice gentle wiggle here. Now this is a motion that I want to invite you to be as soft and loose as possible. Just allowing your wrists to soften as much as possible. Allowing them to loosen in all directions here. And it doesn't have to be an intense stretch. We're just inviting the wrists to become floppy and loose here. All right, let's give them one last shake. One more little exercise with our hands here. And this one can be a little bit of a mind twister, so bear with yourself and me as we begin to tuck our pinky in towards our palm. Travel that pinky across to the base of our thumb, connecting with the tip of the thumb, and then tracing it back and out. All right, let's take our awareness now into our ring finger. Bend just the ring finger down towards the palm. I know it's hard. Everything else wants to get involved. Let's let it travel across and towards the tip of the thumb. And then back and out. All right, next is the middle finger coming down across the palm, up the thumb, and all the way back, releasing. Next into the index finger. Cross up the thumb and back and out. Awesome. All right, let's give that a nice little shake. If you're on your device a lot or at a keyboard, this is a wonderful exercise to do once a day. It's not something that you want to hammer into more than once a day, really, because we can start to impact our ligaments in negative ways. So once is plenty. All right, now we're gonna rise up to our knees from here. So if your knees are finding this to be sensitive, go ahead and modify with any supports, bolsters, anything you need. Or if you'd like to just explore something else for the moment, if being on your knees is not feeling good for you, just listen to your body, trust that information it's giving you. I'm going to scooch back a moment here so you can see me as I rise up onto my knees. Awesome, we got it going on. Now the toes can remain tucked or extended here, whatever's most comfortable for you today. We're going to take our hands up to the lower back. And a little bit higher than our buttocks, we're going to take them up to where our kidneys are and connect with both palms into the back body. And we're going to begin to stretch out through the front body and pull our elbows together in the back. Exhaling to stretch and then inhaling to release. Releasing to that neutral position, and then exhaling, the hips move forward, the lower rib cage moves forward, and the elbows move towards one another in the back. And then releasing to that neutral position. One more time, expanding through the front body. And releasing to neutral once more. All right, let's take our awareness down into our right palm, feeling the points of connection between the right palm and the back body. Let's begin to slide that right palm down the back of the right leg towards the inner crease of our knee, stretching out, and then sliding that palm all the way back up to where it began. We're going to do that a few more times here. So staying with the right palm, sliding down, and then sliding it back up. Let's do that 3 more times, total of 5 times, reaching and releasing up. Awesome. 2 more times, reaching and releasing. Last time, reaching and releasing, opening up our front body here. All right, taking our attention over into the left palm now. Let's begin to draw that left palm down the back of the left leg. And then releasing it back up to the starting position. I'm going to go ahead and do that 4 more times on this left side. Reaching down the back of the left thigh, opening up through the left shoulder joint, and releasing back up. I'm going to go 3 more times, releasing down the back of the leg, and all the way up, sliding that palm along the back body. Reaching and releasing. 1 more time, sliding down and sliding back up. Awesome, you got it going on. All right, we're going to continue this flow for a moment, but we're going to begin to flow back and forth from side to side. So, reaching down with the right hand, let's look over the right shoulder, and then inhale, sliding that back up. Exhaling down the left leg, looking over the left shoulder, and releasing back up. Flowing from side to side here, involving the neck and shoulders if it feels accessible, if it feels good in your neck. Just following with your gaze as the arms reach down and release. Flowing from side to side at your own pace. Opening through the front body as we expand through the shoulder joints. Beautiful. Let's do 1 more time. On both sides, flowing at your own pace. And when you're done that last round, let's return to a neutral position and just notice what's going on in your body right now. What are the sensations as we return to a neutral spine here, neutral position? You can let the arms hang heavy down by the sides here, shoulders dropping down away from your ears, and breathing. All right, let's take those hands back down to the mat, taking the knees wide And sit back and down towards the heels once more. Awesome. Reaching out through both of those hands, let's stretch out the lower back. And breathe into the back body. Taking a few rounds to decompress our lower back and just expand our breath through the back body. Awesome. All right, let's look to our palms. Gently lift our hips up to that tabletop position once more. Then we can swing our heels around to the sides so that we can find our way down onto our buttocks. Let's take those feet to the floor, knees bent, and lower down one vertebrae at a time. Lowering down until everything can release down into the mat once more. Let's take our knees into the chest, either together or wide, whatever suits your body best today. And then let's curl up onto the side body. And we're going to peel open into a passive twist once again. Opening up. And beginning to soften with your breath. Noticing what's going on in your back body today. How have the sensations of this passive spinal twist shifted from the beginning of our practice to now? If you're noticing any excessive holding or tension in your abdomen, you can take that extended arm and just draw it across your abdomen a few times, gently cueing it to release, and extending the arm once more, softening and releasing. Breathing into that soft belly. And then let's wiggle those extended fingers and draw that extended arm back across to the original side. Pausing for a moment as we roll onto the back body and over onto the other side. Taking a moment to get comfy, all curled up on the other side, and then peeling open into a passive twist on the other side. Oh. Once again, if there's any sounds that are hanging out, waiting to be released, I invite you just to let those heavy sighs come on out. A little sigh can go a long way in helping to soften the muscles along our spine. Breathing your body, letting your body be breathed. Alright, let's wiggle those extended fingers and draw that arm back across to the original side and find our way onto the back body, once again. Now, if there's anything else that you are feeling inclined towards in your practice today, if there's any postures or movements that your body's asking for, I invite you to just pause the video and take all the time you need. Take all the time you need. Sometimes there's just those postures that our bodies are asking for that didn't show up in class. So if there's anything that comes to mind, go ahead, explore that for as long as you need. And then when you're ready, let's find our way into Shavasana. Extending both legs long, both arms long, wiggling around, lying down until everything feels long and loose and relaxed. Tucking the chin slightly to lengthen the back of our neck, allowing both feet to fall open from the hip joint, and softening into our breath. Beginning to follow the natural flow of breath in our body once again. That natural intelligence of our body to expand and contract all by itself. Sending that breath into the creases in our forehead, softening into our brow bone, allowing the corners of our eyes to soften, feeling the weight of our eyes sinking back into our eye sockets, softening into our sinuses, imagining them melting away, softening into the jaw muscles, maybe giving the jaw a little wiggle, cueing it to relax. Perhaps swallowing to release the soft palate at the back of your throat. Allowing the tongue to fall away from the roof of your mouth. Softening into the sides of our neck. Relaxing our shoulders and arms. Relaxing your wrists and palms, fingertips. Watching as the chest rises and falls with your breath. Breathing into a soft belly. Sending your breath down into your hips. Softening into the thighs and knees. Relaxing your calves and ankles. Relaxing the tops of your feet and the soles of your feet. Whole body relaxed. Breathing the body, letting the body be breathed. Nowhere to be, nothing to do, just breathe and let the body be breathed. Noticing if your attention is wandering off and inviting your attention back to the breath time and time again. riding the gentle tide of incoming and outgoing breath. In a moment now, we'll return our awareness back to the room, calling to mind the intention we set for ourselves at the beginning of our practice, allowing that intention to stay with us as we begin to wiggle our fingers and toes and begin to stretch out in whatever way your body is asking to wake itself on up today. Eventually finding your way onto your side body, curled up for a moment, to begin to expand our breath into the back body once again. And gently using the support of our upper hand, we'll find our way back to a seated position. Taking your time, moving on up. All right. Let's take a few big breaths together here, sweeping the arms wide, looking to the top, and exhaling. Let's comb our fingers through the space around us, reaching long. Let's do that one more time here, inhaling up, looking to the fingertips, and exhaling as we reach out in all directions here. Third time coming up, and this time let's exhale the hands down to our heart center. If you'd like to join in chanting Om today, please do so. Otherwise, I invite you to just enjoy the sound. Inhaling together. Om Shanti Om. Peace, peace, peace. May you go in peace. Namaste. I hope that this practice lands well in your body. If there's anything that didn't settle well with you or didn't feel accessible for you today, I welcome you to reach out through Atlas Studios or to me directly and just see how we can make practice a little bit more comfortable and juicy for you. I hope this practice lands really well in your body and that you can move forward in your day with a little more peace and strength of will. Wonderful to see you. Rainbow blessings. You're all so beautiful. Thank you for joining in practice today.